That's what experience does. It doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. It means that you got to keep growing, because when you have experience, you put a lot of stuff on tape, so you've got a lot of the defensive coaches that are out there have a lot of things that they can figure out to beat you on. So there comes with that. But just experience gives you old eyes. Old eyes allows you to adjust and correct things that younger guys get burned by.
And then with CeCe, he took us. Obviously comes in, all the talent in the world, all the hype in the world.
Yeah.
Does well his freshman year, takes another step last year.
Yeah.
Where do you think he's progressed since maybe the end of last season?
Probably become more vocal, become more outspoken. He's done a better job using his hands in pass protection and in the run game. And we're not even there yet. So there's things that we're going to continue to work on, so that always be a work in progress.
What's it like? I know you don't skip steps, so I got to be careful how I ask this, but to not have to start from square one with a unit. There is a lot of experience. They do understand.
Yeah, you could be
they
more.
Understand what you want. They understand your turn. They understand the standard.
Yeah,
how much of,
you could be
how
more
helpful is that?
advanced. You could be more advanced with what you're asking them to do technically. You could be more advanced with what you're asking them to do schematically. They can take on more of a load when you introduce things at the beginning of camp. You don't have to. You could throw more at them. There's more volume that because they can take it. Now at the same time that you do that, you also got younger guys in the room that you got to understand aren't going to understand it.
Right.
And that's okay. You got to let them go through their struggles. But what I can't do is I can't slow down the progress of those experienced guys to let the new guys catch up. So those guys have to start swimming. As opposed to if you had a room, my first year here, or if you had a room, or with Coach Dawson's first year in the system, they're all kind of starting on the same step, right? Well, you can't do that when you have guys that have been in college football 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Because if not, they get bored too, right? So you've got to push the envelope with them, and then it might be walkthroughs before for the young guys, or afterwards for the young guys. It's extra rookie meetings for those young guys so that they can catch up. But I'm not going to slow down the progress of the experienced guys for them.
In the same vein.
Sorry, for the guys who were here last year, I know the focus is on tomorrow, and then week 1, and then week 2. I get all that. But the human condition being what it is.
Yeah.
10-2 they were told your 10-2 was not good enough yet last
And it
year.
wasn't.
Is that a motivator in any way? Can that be? Does it have to be?
We had to score more. Right? Those 3 games that we lost, our offense didn't score enough. And that's how they view it. It's nothing about what the defense is. We didn't score enough. Right? At the end of the day, your job as an offense is to score one more point than the defense. Your job as a defense is to not allow their offense to score, and we failed 3 times as an offense. Right? So that's how they viewed it last year. And that's how we view it this year. So there's no frustration. Last year is not going to help us right now. It's a different cast of characters, right? Different set of wide receivers, different quarterback. We've got a running back addition, Marty. We've got new tight ends. So we've got to almost start from scratch, and not start from scratch, but it's like tomorrow. In my guys' eyes, I tell them tomorrow is day 16 of spring football. Right? We shouldn't start on day 1 again, because then we've wasted all those experiences that we had, and all the stuff that they did in the summer. So it's a continuation of really yesterday, to be honest with you. I know it sounds corny and cliche-ish, but it's true.
And you were kind of talking a minute ago about just continuity with the players, but similarly on the offensive side of the coaching staff, everyone's been back. Everyone's been here. Shannon's been here 3 years. You've been here since 2022.
Yeah.
Everyone's been here at least 2. How much does that help to have that continuity?
Well, it's awesome because, again, same deal, right? When you have all that continuity, we can build upon instead of just build, right? So we can build upon what we did in 2023. We can build upon what we did in 2024, right? We know how each other operates, We know we don't have to be on eggshells. Okay, if I tell Coach Dawson something, how's he going to react? Or he doesn't have to do that with me either. We're a lot more comfortable, all of us, with each other. We're a lot more comfortable in, hey, Matt, let's get together, running backs, O-line, let's go, right? So we got to go watch tape. Let's watch tape together. or hey, let's get all the entire offense, and all we're going to do is we're going to do a cut up of how we're going to target things in the run game. So there's a lot more of that happens instead of all us kind of being on our own, kind of feeling each other out. We don't have that anymore, which has been fantastic. I love working with Coach. It's awesome for us as an offensive staff to work with Coach Dawson because of the fact that he gives us input, right? He gives us input, and he gives us autonomy, and he gives us ownership of the offense. He's not one of those offensive coordinators. He's not a me guy. He's a group think guy. So it energizes us and empowers us to help the offense.
What makes Carson elite? What makes Carson elite?
What makes Carson elite? I think he is an ultra competitor. And the last I saw, he's 24-3 as a quarterback in the SEC. It's pretty darn good. And I know he had a lot of talent around him, but he also elevated a lot of that talent. And a lot of that talent also, at certain points in time, failed him, right? So, but be 24-3 in that conference, right? It's pretty impressive. But he's an ultra competitor. And again, the great thing about the sport of football is everybody's different, right? The way Cam was wired and he's wired are different, right? But they're both as competitive as each other. Just because someone might not be outwardly expressive and doing that doesn't mean you're not competitive. One bit. And if we get the best version of Carson Beck, that's going to be pretty darn good.
What are some of the ways that you see
You're welcome to push it.
Carson's competitiveness exhibit itself on a day-to-day basis?
In his preparation, in his drive, in his seriousness, in the pointed questions that he asks, in that manner, in the manner that when he talks, everybody, the way the players react to him, the way the players respond to him when he speaks to them, when he addresses them, you can see that he's got command, that he's got respect, but he's a competitor now. He's a competitor. I'm friends with his high school coach up at Mandarin, and he was as competitive. The way he described him is the way that people at Georgia describe him, the way we're describing him. Everybody's describing him the same way, right? So success leaves clues. And he was a competitive baseball player. He's been a competitive football player. He does not like to lose, right? And we're blessed and humbled to have him here with us at Miami.
And I want to ask about Samson. He's entering.
He's doing awesome. People need to leave him alone. He's a kid that's developed, and he's a kid that people at the University of Miami believe in him, and he believes in the people at the University of Miami. That's why he's still here. And he's done an unbelievable job. He's going to be a great player for the University of Miami. When? I don't know. It could be tomorrow. When? Could be a week from now. It could be a month from now. But it'll come. And everybody always talks about, people in the media always criticize the whole transfer portal and how it's ruined football. But everybody wants to know, hey, why is this kid here? Why hasn't he jumped in the portal? But you can't have it both ways, right? A kid who's loyal to a school that's been loyal to him, that should be praised instead of, hey, why is that happening? Well, maybe because the kid he feels he's developing, and the coaches here feel he's developing, and his family feels that he's developing. So how about we just stay right where we're at? So he's doing fantastic.
And how close-knit is this group? Because James was telling me that you guys had family dinner yesterday. Yep. Just how close-knit is this group?
They're close enough. They're close enough that when I was away on vacation, I was away from them for about 3-4 weeks in the summer, and they didn't miss a beat. And there's a tremendous amount of leadership there. There's a tremendous amount of professionalism there. Like you talked about Brockermeyer. I think that's who you were saying, right, James?
Yeah.
Brockermeyer is a tremendous professional in how he prepares his body, and how he prepares for practice, how he watches film, and that trickles down to those other guys. But they generally they compete with each other, but they're proud of each other. They're not jealous of each other, and that's a big thing in not only in our room but in our program, is to be a great teammate. What does being a great teammate mean? It means being proud of and being happy for someone else's success, even though you wish you were in that spot, right? And that's what they are. They're very proud of each other. They're not jealous of each other, which is awesome, and it's something that they work on. They work on it on a daily themselves to do that. How? Hanging out together. How? working out together, how drilling together, how going fishing together, how, just, being boys, right? Being dudes, right? And that's important. And that's important. And again, in today's day and age, how does that, NIL, none of that changes that, right? None of that changes how important those things are, right, to the development of a team, of a program. And those guys right there have been awesome.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Appreciate you.
Coach, very few negative plays last year in the win game.
Yeah.
How important is that philosophically to you to make sure that
it's all about you try to stay on track, right? You want to stay ahead of the sticks. It makes it a lot easier for him as a play caller, right? For it to be 2nd and 8 as opposed to 2nd and 12, right? Or for it to be 3rd and 4 instead of 3rd and 7. So from a play calling standpoint, it's extremely important. And that's something that ever since Coach Dawson has gotten here, we've prided ourselves on it. And I don't think it's something that it's just kind of what we do, but it's not something that we hey, today we're going to focus on no negative plays. It's just kind of how our system is, right? How our offensive schematics are, the way Coach dials the quarterback into it to get us out of bad plays and stuff like that. But it's huge. I mean, it's huge because every possession should end in a kick, whether it's a field goal, extra point, or a punt, not in a turnover, right? So, but it's been huge for us the last 2 seasons, and again, that's just the way he designs the offense, the way that we protect our run game and things like that. So it's big.
55% on 3rd down last year. So.
Yeah, well, that's that was a lot to do with our quarterback, obviously, a lot to do with our wide receivers, and not only, but what happens when stuff breaks down, People ask me, did I know Cam Ward was going to be what he was? I said no, not until we played a game, right? Because now we'll start practice with Carson tomorrow, but if any defensive guy gets within 3 yards of him, they blow the whistle, right? Because you can't touch the quarterback. So at the same time, that is good because it's for his protection, his safety. You don't know what's going to happen the first time we're playing whoever we play and he gets flushed out of the pocket, right? And he's got to make a play. And all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 12. They flush him out. He makes a play. We get a first down. That all contributes to it, right? So you got to have playmakers, right? You got to have playmakers, and we believe that Carson Beck is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. And our wide receivers, we believe, are playmakers with the ball in their hands, right? And so that all attributes to that, And it's obviously Coach Dawson's done a hell of a job from a game planning standpoint on 3rd down. 3rd down is money down, right? That's deep. You see defensive guys on the sideline doing this. It's money down, right? Got to get you off the field. Well, when it's hard to get you off the field, that puts a lot of stress not only on the other defense but on the other offense as well, because they know their margin for error is slim, right? Man, the Canes go down, they score a touchdown. Man, we better go match them, because if not, they get the ball again, they might go score again. So it puts a lot of pressure on the other team.
The center position,
Yeah.
Your centers are so smart and they got so much on them.
Yeah.
Do you philosophically, why do you think it's so important to have a center kind of call it running that
Because he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback of the other. I say this, other than the quarterback, who are the 2 guys that touch the ball every play? The center and the quarterback. So to me, he's as important because he's got the ball in his hand, right? The ball is the program, like people say, right? Well, he's got the ball in his hands every play, and then he'll snap it to Carson, and then Carson's going to have it in his hand, right? Other than that, those are the only 2 guys who are guaranteed to touch the ball on every play, right? So he's extremely important. He's the guy that communicates. So, right, you might see it as a 4-down front. I might see it as an odd front. You might see it as a bear front, right? But we all got to see the same thing, right? And so whatever he says goes. So if you think it's bear, she thinks it's odd, you think it's split front, but James says 4 down, it's 4 down, no matter what. Because we've got to all be on the same page, right? We all either got to be on the same page, right together, or wrong together, but no matter what, we got to be on the same page. So that is huge, right? And there's things that James says and does up front that is important. Carson knows, and it's important that the running backs know, too, from a protection standpoint, right? So those guys are huge, right? Whether it's Matt Lee, whether it's Zach Carpenter, whether it's Brockermeyer, whether it's Ryan Rodriguez, whether it's S.A. Alofai-Tuli, whoever it is at center, that's huge. I believe in any offense, right? You build from the inside out, right? Catcher, pitcher, short, second baseman, build up the middle. Same with an offense. You build center, quarterback, and you build up the middle. I've always been a believer in that. Coach Cristobal has been a believer in that. So it's hugely important. And intelligence is key. So you better go out and you better recruit yourself guys that are intelligent and can have a high capacity of learning.
Coach, one thing I want to ask about just recruiting-wise, obviously I know athleticism and off the field needs to be a certain standard, but hard not to notice that these guys are giant, right?
They're big.
So, yeah.
They're big. Big people beat up little people.
Right. So just from an evaluation standpoint, I mean, seems to be an emphasis on size.
Yeah.
So why is this something? I mean, like I said, big people beat up little people.
Yeah. They take up a lot of space. So they take up a lot of space, right? It's hard to get around them, right? Because they're bigger. And obviously all of our guys are big, but they can move their feet. So that's the difference, right? You don't want big statues. You want big guys that can move their feet, right? And those are hard to find. That's why you got to go get in recruiting battles, right? And you got to hopefully win. But they're hard to get around, right? Markel Bell, yeah, he's 6'9", but he also has feet, and he's got very long arms. So it's hard to get around him. So even if he's not exact with his technique on that play, he's so long that he can get a piece of someone and run him by the quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you get Inez and you get Cece and they come off the ball and they double team somebody. I mean, that's like almost 700 pounds of human beings, right? And they got good feet. Again, they got good feet and athleticism. So it's just the style of play that Coach Cristobal believes in, And that's what we did when we were together at our other place. That's what he did when he was at Bama. And they're hard to find. They're not easy to find, but that's what it takes. It takes what it takes.
Coach Mirabal, I was talking to CC earlier about he was stating the standard that you, especially with your coaching style, he didn't elaborate on the standard, but I just kind of want to hear from you the standard that you have for your O-line.
You know what, the standard so the one thing, and I appreciate CC saying that, but the standard that we have on the O-line is the standard that Coach Cristobal has for the program, right? Coach Cristobal is very clear with everybody, as you have to be. There's no subcultures, right? The offensive line does not have a different culture or standards than the D-line, than the linebackers, than the quarterbacks. So, but it always starts up front, right? So, like for instance, something as simple as there's a standard of punctuality in our program, right? You're not going to be late, right? You got to be before time. That's just what we do, right? So, like I tell the O-line, you dudes, and your head football coach is an O-line guy, right? So not only are you one of his players, but you're playing a position that he coaches, that he's involved in. So it's like you don't want your son to make you look bad, right? So they know that they're going to be held to a higher standard, right? And they know that others on the team are watching them. So that's just something as simple as that. But punctuality, toughness, from a discipline standpoint, what's toughness? Toughness is, do the O-line come out to practice every day? Toughness to me is, do you show up whether you feel good or not, whether your body feels good or not? And if your offensive line is tough, they're showing up every day, right? So that's what he means by the standard. They might not feel good, their body might be beat up, but they're showing up, right? And they're setting the example for others to follow, whether it's a wide receivers, a DBs, what have you, But we don't have anything. There's nothing that we do. I don't want to make it clear. There's nothing that we do different or special that coach doesn't require of every group, But like I tell them, they got to set the standard because everybody always talks about it, right? Starts up front, O-line, D-line. It starts up front with us and the guys on the D-line.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Coach,
Thank you.
How was Japan?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You were there for a while, right?
2 weeks. You got to go. If you're going to go, you better go for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I went for 1 week. But I was only in Tokyo in March. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, the way, like.
But now it was hot when I went.
Really?
Oh, boiling. Man, I haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing? You good?
This guy knows everybody.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to be doing the games this year. So.
You are? There we go. That's awesome. That's
How's the
awesome.
family?
Good.
See you
Everybody's
around
doing
all the
good.
time.
Everybody's good. How about you? Yeah. Yeah.
Happy?
Yeah. Good. That's all that matters.
You already having a tough game?
She's doing good. She's doing good. She had a stroke a while ago, but she's coming back. Yeah, that's it. And no other choice.
Basically, it's going to be a good season.
Yeah, we're gonna work at it. You know, they'll work at it. They're a great group of kids.
Is Alex sticking around for the season?
Who?
Alex, your son? Is he sticking around for the season? Like,
Yes.
is he going to be on the team?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, he'll be around.
The 4 games, the first 4 games, he did it 2 rivalries.
Yes.
That's going to be.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. First 5 games.
And that's good.
First 5 games.
Right.
Because you got Notre Dame. You got Notre Dame. You got Florida State. You got Florida. That's 3 big ones. This is good. It'll be fun.
It's good, especially the first game you get it out of the way.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll be fun. What's up, Manny?
What's up, Coach? Good to see you.
What's
How
up,
you
brother?
been? Good to see
Great.
you.
How about you?
How you doing?
What's up?
So I did the research the other day. I shared this on my podcast.
Okay.
We look at the last 6 national champions.
Yes, sir.
The last 5 NFL drafts.
Yeah.
All 5 teams, top 5 offensive and defensive line drafted.
Okay.
Obviously, Mario is making the same effort.
Sure.
People are talking about this group that you could have 4 guys drafted. I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot. What do each of those guys have to do, that are coming back to get drafted? In terms of improvement, what do you think?
They got to play at their best against the best competition that they face. So, because that's what you're going to be evaluated on. As a NFL scout, they obviously watch all the tape, but they're going to watch you against the best competition. How did you come out in your battle against the best? So, and they're going to have the opportunity to do that this season.
Plenty.
Yeah, plenty, which is awesome. That's why you come to Miami, right?
Yeah. I guess for each of the 4 individual things that you're challenging them with this season, Markel, McCoy obviously who's part of it, and then the other 2 guys, which I know Brockenmeyer's name, but just the guards and tackles that were starting line.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, this is going to sound crazy. I don't really worry about what the NFL with them. I don't. I think that takes care of itself. Okay. I really do, and I'm not trying to make a cliche-ish answer. I don't. That's not my job.
Right. So get excited.
Yeah, it's really not. And I tell that to recruits as well. My job is, if you could play at the University of Miami, you're going to have an opportunity to play on Sunday. If you can't play at the University of Miami, you got no opportunity to play on Sunday. So why are we worried about that when you better worry about this? And I tell them this like this. I said, right, if you can't play at your high school, you ain't playing at the University of Miami. So why are we putting the cart before the horse? You know what I'm saying? And that's always been my mentality and my philosophy. And I think and that's why, like, Inez Cooper has developed the way he's developed, right? Inez Cooper has developed the way he's developed because he's been worried about being able to play at his best at the University of Miami. You know what I'm saying? Same with Cece. Now, do they have those goals and their aspirations? Yeah, of course they should. They should. But I think that's what fuels them for betterment at this level. You know what I'm saying? So I would just, if you want to get technical with it, the use of their hands, the use of their hands in the run game and in the pass game is where we got to get better, and they're working on it on a daily basis. They've been doing a great job of their nutrition and that stuff, and the other thing that people don't see, Manny, is the stuff that we do in the film room. Because when it comes down at some point in time, when it comes down to all that part of the NFL and stuff like that, they better be able to regurgitate, and they better be able to, verbalize. Hey, how do you guys block this 6-man protection versus this split double mug, with a nickel fire? How do you do that? Explain that to me. You know what I'm saying? Here's the pen. So, from that standpoint, there's a lot of things that happen in behind closed doors that really, really, really affects that part.
Samson's a guy who came here with so much fanfare because of that 5-star and all that other stuff. But where is he going into year 3? Obviously, we know you have so many quality guys and so many snaps, but is he ready to play in your mind going into year 3?
100%. 100%. I tell people all the time, I said, this is not against any of you here, but, the media always talks about how transfer portal is ruining college sports, and then when you have a kid like him who has chosen to stay here, people are like, hey, why didn't he leave? Oh, well, you want it both ways? I mean, you want to criticize the transfer portal, but then you want to or question why a kid has chosen not to go in there. That makes no sense to me. At some point, obviously, you figure that Samson, man, you know what? The coaches at Miami, they believe in me, and we do. And he believes in us, and his parents do, right? Which is why he's growing and he's developing as a player. Now, if you ask me, if I close my eyes, would I be confident that he'd be able to get the job done if he had to go in and play for us tomorrow? Absolutely. 1,000%. Absolutely. And I think he's developed that way because of the fact that he stayed here, right? That he stayed here and he's continued to grow and get better in his technique, his fundamentals, and I think he's a testament to what college football everybody used to be, right? A guy who's taken, just taking a little bit of time to develop, and there's other guys around him, but he has not backed down. Like, he's not waiting his turn, if that makes sense. Right. He's pushing to make it his turn. So, but he's done a great job.
And you can play him anywhere, or where's
except for center. Except for center, which is not because he can't.
You haven't done it.
We haven't done it. We haven't had to do it. But he's a guy. The way that we train in the summers and in the off seasons is we cross train them all right-handed, left-handed. So he could play tackle, guard. It doesn't matter. The biggest difference between playing tackle and guard is at guard everything happens faster. So we'll do that a lot too. Is we'll put those tackles at guard, and they're like, oh hell man, this is it's different. It's different. But he can do both of them. He's gained a lot of just natural strength and stuff like that. That now we'd be confident to play him at guard.
One of the things that nobody really talks about is the injuries and how that affects guys' development. A guy like Cece's a perfect example. Surgery after his freshman year. This year, off-season, nothing. How that can help a guy having a full healthy summer, full healthy off, to maybe even reach levels. The season I retired, he said he didn't have the strength sometimes as a freshman to lift his arms. He said his arms would collapse on him when he was trying to block. And just the difference maybe that makes in his development.
Huge. He's been huge because instead of being in the training room rehabbing, he could be upstairs watching tape. Huge because there's certain things that he can do from a drill standpoint. Like people say, like when he had the surgery, right? He had the surgery. He couldn't run, even though it was on his upper body because they couldn't, the motion, or if he fell and tripped, right? So those are things that people don't factor in. And now he's been weapons free, and been able to really grow and get all the conditioning, right? So he's in better condition. He's better, stronger, because he can use, not that he needs to get stronger, but it's just been able to grow and do drills, and so he got stronger, he got in better shape, and he got technically better as well.
I wanted to ask you, this is like a little pet project with the Athletic with all the college coaches. So it's like a little special thing. Is there a favorite recruiting find? Somebody that maybe you went to a school to see somebody else, or went to a game and just happened to see this guy, and he ended up becoming a really good player for you? So, somebody that you think of all the years you've been doing this. I asked.
Well,
try to get Mario to do something.
You know what? It's hard because there's been so many.
Yeah.
But like when Coach and I were at Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson, who ended up winning the Remington and was a second-round pick of the Raiders. Coach and I offered him, and people thought we were crazy. He was 230 pounds as a sophomore. He was 230 pounds, and we offered him. He was in his baseball uniform. Absolutely. He was 230 pounds, and people thought we were crazy. And the two local schools, Utah and BYU, had not offered him yet, right? And the fact that we offered him first, and then they tried to come, and his parents were Utah season ticket holders. They tried to come in, but that was like,
What was it that you saw in baseball that made you?
He was just athletic. Athletic. He could move. I was able to see. You know, he had skinny ankles, and he was just a good athlete. You know, and then I watched his film, and he was tough. And even though they had one. He went to the high school where. Who's the Wilson quarterback kid?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson went to the same high school. Jackson Dart went to the same high school. Noah Sewell, not Panay Sewell. Noah Sewell went to the same high school. Puka Nakua went to the same high school.
So you happened to be there just looking for other guys, or just watching?
No, it was just kind of watching, and boom, and he was there. But it was a school that had a lot of other players that came out of it. That's a school that beat IMG last year. The Utah school that beat IMG. So the coach does a great job. But we were able to, dig him out of there. That would be one. Nino Francavilla here. I didn't know who the heck Nino was until he came to a camp at FAU, right? A summer camp at FAU, and then had time. And he said he drove down to our camp that afternoon. I had no idea who he was. I'm like, boom, and then he commits to Harvard, and that recruiting class, we had a kid that was committed to us and dropped us late. So
Pretty
we
good
needed
player too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Dropped us late, and we needed a guy.
Yeah.
We myself coach, and someone in the recruiting department, we would say, how about that kid from
The FAU camp.
Yeah, the Canadian kid. So we called him, and he flipped from Harvard to here. And so, you never know. You never know with that stuff how it works. But nowadays it's hard.
Yeah, because everybody's at a camp.
Everybody's and there's so much social media and stuff like that there's really no hidden. It's rare to have a hidden gem nowadays.
But it's interesting to see the best ones that you guys recognize as. Man, I don't know how we found. It was just a surprise. You went. You were kind of. That's the concept behind it. So
Yeah.
we're trying to get as many head coaches and longtime coaches to cheer.
Yeah, and that's why you got to go see people in person.
Yeah.
It's still about getting out, and it's still about the best recruiting is still being able to go to high school and asking the high school coach, "Oh, yeah, coach, who else is good in the area?" Coach, you should really go down the street and see this kid. It's still the best way in my.
Right, seeing him in person.
Yeah, and for those high school coaches to tell you, hey, you should go check this guy out at this school or that school.